We'll go ahead and get started now. First of all, I'm Justin Swinford. I'm the chair of the Lay Advisory Board for 2015. I thank everyone for being here. This is a great conference. This is the 41st year that this has gone on, and we're obviously here. We're happy that you're here. We're here for two reasons this year. Normally we have the Woodrow B. Seals Award. This year we also have the Person of Faith Award. And we want to thank the friends and family of Kay Yeager, who is here for the Woodrow B. Seals Award. And her colleagues, friends, and family, we welcome you guys. And also for Dr. Hen Jarrah, who's here for the Person of Faith, and all of her family. We thank you for being here and hope you have a great lunch. And we'll talk to you a little later on. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Bill Lawrence. I'm the Dean at Perkins School of Theology. And I want to thank you for your presence with us on this very special occasion. I am very grateful to Justin and the members of the Lay Advisory Board, the leadership team involved in planning this luncheon, for all that they have done. We have the privilege at this luncheon of honoring two distinguished, outstanding, strong, and dedicated women at this luncheon this afternoon. At first glance, it could appear that our two honorees are about as different from each other as a couple of people could be. One is a native Texan, raised in the Methodist Church, who has given a lifetime of service to her country and her community of faith. The other is a native of the Middle East, a Palestinian born in Beirut and raised a Muslim, who has given a lifetime of service to her country of origin, her country of adoption, and her community of faith. But the remarkable thing is how much these two women share. They are great leaders in public life, in religious life, in the lives of their family members and friends. Both of them speak with quiet, clear voices that have a way of rising above the din of debate and hostility that characterizes so much conversation in our world today. Both of them have been condemned publicly by their adversaries who have disagreed with their views or their beliefs. And both of them have responded to those accusations by demonstrating that the proper response to someone on the other side of an argument is to build a bridge of reconciliation. Both of them love being at home in Texas. The Woodrow Seals Award that we will present is an award with a great tradition. The Person of Faith Award that we will present is the first of what we hope will be the start of a new and enduring tradition. In the year that we celebrate the centennial of Perkins School of Theology and Southern Methodist University, it seems right to rejoice in keeping one tradition and in starting another. So that's what we are going to do today. And as we prepare for this celebration, I have the honor of introducing a number of persons who are present. I want first to introduce the president of Southern Methodist University, Dr. R. Gerald Turner, and his wife, Gail. I also want to introduce members of the Board of Trustees of Southern Methodist University who are in the room. I recognize that two are present: Karen Prothro, the immediate past chair of the Board of Trustees of Southern Methodist University, and Bishop Mike McKee, who is a current member of the board as well. Where's Mike? Over there. All right. Please greet them. Also, I want to ask members of the Lay Advisory Board who are in the room if you would stand. You're seated in various places around the room. Would you greet them? Now, we have a number of persons in the room who are previous recipients of the Woodrow Seals Award. And I have left my notes in another location, so I need all of you to stand because I cannot find the sheet of paper that recognizes all of the years in which you have been selected. But Bliss Dodd, Mike Fenton, Lonnie Brooks, Isabel Calora. Are there others in the room? Please join me in greeting these previous recipients. And finally, there are present in the room members of the Executive Board of Perkins School of Theology. I want to ask them to stand as well. You've already met in another role Bishop McKee. You know one of our honorees. You've already met Mike Fenton. Catherine Glaze-Lyle is here at this table. And now I am pleased to introduce the Reverend Gary McDonald, who has been Director of Advanced Ministerial Studies at Perkins School of Theology and is transitioning to become the Director of Perkins' Doctor of Ministry degree program. Gary is going to offer the invocation, and then he's going to invite you to enjoy your lunch. Gary?
Thank you, Dean Lawrence. Let us be in a spirit of prayer. I offer invocation this morning. Originally, it's adapted from an original prayer, unpublished prayer by the Christian theologian Reinhold Niebuhr. So let us pray. O God, who has made all things by your power, ruler of the world and redeemer of women and men, your majesty is more wonderful than we can know, and your mercy more than we can understand. We worship you, the author of all life, the preserver of people, and the redeemer of the world. We give thanks for the life and joy in your whole creation, for the rhythm of its seasons, for the rigor of its disciplines, for the miracle of abundance by which we are sustained, for the creatures great and small in whom you have revealed your life-giving power, for the warmth of the day and the quiet of the night, for the work which follows rest and the rest which follows work, and for all the alterations by which you temper the rigors of life to the frailty of humanity. We give thanks for the fellowship of humankind under your providence, for the structure of life by which you have ordained that none of us should live alone. We thank you for our families and our responsibilities toward each other, and for the bond between youth and age, for our communities of common interest and work in which we discipline each other in our mutual tasks, for the large communities of destiny into which we are bound in our nations, and finally, for our common dependence and our responsibilities to the family of nations. We thank you for every discipline which teaches us that if we seek to gain our life, we lose it. But if we lose it in service to our neighbors, we find it. Amen. Enjoy your meal.
Friends, I want you to continue to enjoy your lunch, and do not neglect the dessert that is already at your place. While you continue to enjoy your meal, I want to invite you to join me in offering a word of thanks to the Reverend Connie Nelson, who is the Director of Public Affairs and Alumni Relations here at Perkins. She is the individual on our staff who is responsible for organizing this event. Her associate director in that office is Dr. Tim McLemore, who not only works in that part of our activities, but in case you didn't know, he's the pianist who provided the music. And seated next to Connie is Amanda Rodenberg, who is a member of the staff in the same office. Without the three of them, this event would not have happened. And I particularly salute Dr. McLemore for making sure to include a little Dave Brubeck in the luncheon. I have the pleasure of introducing the 10th president of Southern Methodist University, Dr. R. Gerald Turner.
I want to join the dean and others in welcoming you to the beautiful Prothrow Great Hall on a beautiful day on campus. This is the kind of day that we try to have, if we can predict it, all visiting students come. Because this week, I had a family from Jackson Hole, Wyoming in my office on Thursday, and the mother said, "We can get this and never leave home." And I said, well, the great thing about Texas is if you'll stay here a couple of days, it'll all change. So we're delighted that all of you could be here on a beautiful day rather than having to worry about the weather. And we have just in talking about, with the Gerards, about family. Their 3 daughters, very proud of them, and particularly those that are at SMU, graduates of SMU. You can't beat that. We have 2 daughters, and Kay Yeager has 3 daughters. And so it's a daughter day celebrating for parents, and it's always great to know that daughters will come and help celebrate their parents' achievements. Boys will generally just go play golf, but nevertheless, we thank all of them for being here. This is a great opportunity for us to celebrate 2 wonderful women, as the dean mentioned, and thank all of you for being a part of it. And I know that you'll enjoy the program and hearing from these 2 individuals. So again, welcome to this event and to the campus. We're glad to have you here.
Dr. Turner, Mr. Swinford, I want to invite you to join me here. The Woodrow B. Seals Award is an award that is named for an individual who had a great deal to do with the formation of the Lay Advisory Board here at Perkins School of Theology, and who in his life exemplified the kind of dedication to ministry, community service, and witness that we seek to honor with the presentation of the Woodrow Seals Award. You are going to hear a more formal introduction of the recipient of the Woodrow B. Seals Award for 2015 in just a few minutes. But I want to have an opportunity to make sure that the non-recipients in Kay's family have a chance to be recognized before she is. Her husband, Frank, their daughters, if you would all stand and be recognized, please. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Frank. Now, Justin, you're going to say a word about the nature of the award in greater detail.
Yes, sir. The Woodrow B. Seals Lady Award is given annually to a Christian layperson in the United States who is an exemplar of service to the church, the community, and the world. This award is named for the late Judge Woodrow B. Seals of Houston, who was committed to the advancement of ministry of the laity and instrumental in establishing the Perkins School of Theology. The Lay Advisory Board of Perkins of Theology was pleased this year to recommend to the Dean, Kay Prothrow Yeager of Wichita Falls, Texas, as a recipient of this year's award. We are humbled by her exemplary support of the preparation of Christian leaders, exemplified by her work here at Perkins, and at the level of her commitment to the service at local and state and national levels. Ms. Yeager, it's an honor to recognize you today, and we appreciate your ministry.
Okay, we want to get everybody in for a photo. Do you need to move that microphone, or are you majestic and magic? Okay, it is our privilege to present to you the 2015 Woodrow B. Seals Award. Congratulations. To make sure you have some more information about Kay as the appropriate honoree for this award, I am pleased to introduce to you one of my bosses, Bishop Mike McKee, who is the Bishop of the Dallas area of the United Methodist Church and the Episcopal leader of the North Texas Conference. Mike McKee is also a member of the Board of Trustees and is chair of the Executive Board for Perkins School of Theology. We're delighted that Bishop McKee and his wife Joan are here. Mike, please come.
Thank you, Dean Lawrence. It's a pleasure to be here and to introduce Kay, who really needs no introduction to those of us who know her. As I was sitting here and looking across the room, especially seeing people with whom I'm on the executive board with, I'm reminded about my first time really of some time that I spent with Kay. It was with Mike Fenton, Kay Yeager, Bill Lawrence, and a few other persons as we began to plan and talk about the long-range plan for the executive board of Perkins School of Theology. To be honest, Kay and I, along with Dodie Crockett, who was our host, and Dean Lawrence, and a couple other staff persons, we worked the whole time. But my wife Joan and Frank Yeager spent a great deal of time talking about photography and wildlife and nature. They got the better end of that deal. No offense, Bill, but they had a great time. But I think in talking and thinking of the Woodrow Seals Laity Award, certainly that the person who receives it should be seen as a good steward of one's life and a good steward of the world around the person. As I think about Kay Yeager and the many experiences that I have shared with her and know about her, I'm thinking that Kay is a steward of God's creation, a steward of our country, a steward of her community, and a steward of the church. One of the things you may or may not know about Kay is that she and Frank are very involved in the Yellowstone National Park, where she chairs the Yellowstone Foundation. In fact, I can share with you on first-hand basis now that you could probably refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. Yellowstone, and that would personify what they do in terms of the contributions to the park. But it's not the park. It's the sense of what it means to be a steward of God's creation. And in visiting with Kay and Frank, one of the things that you're aware of is they are deeply interested in how it is that God's world and order get put together as a system. Kay, along with Frank, has been generous with her time and her resources in terms of how it is that she sees what it means to be a steward of the creation of our God. Kay's also been a steward in her community. As you know, she has served as mayor of Wichita Falls for 4 years, and in that time, I think Dean Lawrence perhaps said something briefly about that. She learned that sometimes when you are being a good community servant, that sometimes there actually happens to be conflict, or shall we say, you become the recipient of persons who significantly disagree with you. Suffice it to say, without going into that particular event, with one of the ministers in Wichita Falls, Texas, who no longer lives in Wichita Falls, Texas, but lives in Dallas, Kay was a good steward about what it meant to be a person who personified the love of our God in that community. And for that, I'm deeply grateful. She's served as the mayor. She's served as a community volunteer. She's led many efforts in her community in the city of Wichita Falls. And she is currently the chair of the Military Affairs Committee of the Shepherd Air Force Base. And in fact, on numerous occasions, as I've talked about something, she reminds me or tells me, shares with me things I don't know. I was really excited about the GPS, for instance, on my car, and I said, this is just the greatest invention. She said, it comes to you courtesy of the Air Force, Mike. You just need to know that. But Kay is a person who really is deeply involved in the city of Wichita Falls and its well-being. And of course, it's because she's a native. And lastly, I think about Kay's stewardship of the church. It's fitting that we gather in this room which is named after her mother, the school, which is named after her grandparents. But Kay, in her own right, has been a good steward about what it means to be generous, not only to the school with resources, but with her wisdom. Over the years in which I've been privileged to serve with her, not only on the executive board of Perkins School of Theology, the Texas Methodist Foundation, she is actually one of my bosses. She is on the jurisdiction, she's on the Episcopal Committee of the North Texas Conference. She always displays that she is, first of all, a person of faith, who's deeply concerned about what it means to be a child of God and how you live out one's faith. And so not only in this university, this School of Theology, but in the Greater United Methodist Church, she's been someone who's been very active and someone who has been very willing to do that upon which she is called. But close to home, her dearest love is the First United Methodist Church of Wichita Falls, in which she continues to serve, in which she is the chair of the trustees, and numerous other experiences and roles that she's played in that church. And she truly is a steward of what it means to be a faithful person in the faith community in which she grounds her life. And so, Kay, I can think of no one who is more deserving than you at this time to receive the Woodrow Seals Award. And I appreciate being able to say that you are truly a dear friend, not only to me, but to so many. Kay Yeager.
Thank you, Bishop McKee, President Turner, Dean Lawrence, and Justin Swinford. It is an honor indeed to be present at the first presentation of the Perkins School of Theology Person of Faith Award, and particularly because of the recipient and her efforts in an area that is critical to all faiths, as well as to the understanding and future of our nation. Thank you. I am indeed humbled to receive the Woodrow B. Seals Laity Award, and quite frankly find it difficult to respond to this honor because of those who have gone before me. The United Methodist Church, obviously, has been a life journey for me. One of my first recollections of church was sitting with my grandparents in, quote, their pew at First United Methodist Church, Wichita Falls, long before we were the United Methodist Church, and watching my grandfather give dimes to every child who walked by to put into the collection plate. Unfortunately, I never got one of those dimes. My first recollections of Perkins School of Theology and SMU are of the groundbreaking and later the dedication for Perkins Chapel. To be here, standing here today in this building named for my mother is indeed also a great honor. But I would like to take a little different approach on my faith journey that has come in later years when I became more involved with the church at large, primarily through the invitation of Dean Lawrence to attend the retreat in Wimberley that my bishop has talked about. So I won't go into that any further, but Mike was there with us. That's when I think I really met Mike McKee and his wife and came to know them. What great inspirations and role models they became for me over the last several years. That started the process of really where should and could Perkins go, but more importantly, the bigger questions of where the church could go. It is also when Bill Lawrence really began to have a big impact on my life. I would certainly be remiss if I didn't include some bishops, one of whom's over here, who have had a big impact on my life. Early on, Bishop Paul Martin, who not only was a great influence on my grandparents and parents and a minister at our church, but also to me and my husband. Bishop Martin simply had a nice, quiet way of doing things. But more recently, Rhymes Moncure and Jewell Rhymes preached both Easter worship services for First United Methodist Church shortly after our senior minister had died. The preaching was great, but things got even greater when Rhymes and Jewel accepted an invitation to join us for lunch at our home. The journey of that afternoon, the stories, the role he thought I should play in a larger church, the challenges facing the church, laid a foundation for me at a lunch that lasted until 6 p.m. The next bishop to have a big influence was Alfred Norris, who stepped in upon Bishop Moncure's death. The stories he told, particularly about rural West Texas, again, the challenges he laid down for me, not the least of which was to run for a delegate to General Conference, were another stepping stone. The next is our current bishop, Mike McKee. I have known him from the Perkins Board, the Retreat, TMF, and now as our bishop. His impact on our lives, his counsel, and his friendship are unbelievable. I could tell you some more stories about Yellowstone from our trip a month or so ago, but I'll let Mike save those for later conversations. I also need to mention the impact of Tom Locke and TMF. It has certainly broadened my view of problems facing the church, but more importantly, journeys that can be taken to help the church in the broadest sense to emerge as a stronger institution and make disciples in service to Jesus. So this is my recent faith journey, not my childhood journey that leads me to today. None of this would have been possible with the start of the journey prompted by my grandparents and parents, or without the support of my husband Frank and our daughters Elizabeth and Linda and our grandchildren, who have enabled me to be so actively involved in so many diverse things. We join together as a family in our own ways to be involved with the United Methodist Church and see a bright future for the church at large. I know that there is still a journey before me in the United Methodist Church. As you've heard, our family is steeped in Methodism and looking outward to ecumenicisms, and I look forward to that journey ahead. Again, I am truly humbled to receive the Woodrow B. Seals Award today and thank all involved with this award and all who have influenced my direction with the United Methodist Church and the other opportunities of service beyond the church that I have had. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Kay. If one were to look at the mission statement of Perkins School of Theology, one would discover very clearly there is a focus in that mission statement on preparing women and men for faithful leadership in Christian ministry. There is no question that the focus of our missional endeavors is to prepare persons for leadership as Christian ministers, both lay and ordained. That said, it has been almost from the date when these buildings, including Perkins Chapel, at whose groundbreaking Kay acknowledged she was present, from those days, it has been clear that preparing for Christian ministry, preparing women and men for faithful leadership in Christian ministry, has included and embraced a recognition of the multi-faith and interfaith nature of ministry. One of the great stories about those years in the 1950s of life at Perkins involved a person who was an adjunct professor here, Rabbi Levi Olin. It came to light in some public communication that Rabbi Olin was a member of the Perkins faculty teaching courses. Someone became really angry and contacted a predecessor of mine, the great Dean Merriman Cunningham, to complain that there was a Jew, a non-Christian, on the payroll. The dean called Rabbi Olin and said, "Levi, how much am I paying you?" Rabbi Olin said, You know the answer to that. Nothing. Because my congregation wants me to engage in this kind of work. The dean responded, as of today, you're on the payroll. Ever since those early days, Perkins School of Theology has recognized and invested our life in a recognition that to be in Christian ministry is to be in interfaith and multiple faith ministries. The awards we have presented, like the Distinguished Alumni Awards and the Woodrow B. Seals Awards, clearly are focused on persons who provide leadership in Christian ministry. It is our privilege this year to add this new award, the Person of Faith Award, which will be presented annually, I trust, without regard to the specifics of a particular religious tradition or denominational affiliation, but simply to recognize persons of faith through the years for their leadership. That is the nature of the Person of Faith Award, which we are presenting for the first time. So I have the honor of inviting Dr. Hind Jarrah to join President Turner, Reverend Connie Nelson, and me as we present the 2015 Person of Faith Award to Dr. Hind Jarrah. When I arrived in the summer of 2002 as the dean, Perkins School of Theology and Southern Methodist University could still vividly remember the events of the previous September 11th, 2001. There was, in the summer of 2002, still a lot of anxiety in the air, and there was no small amount of fear. Two events brought me into contact with persons who immediately became, for me and for Perkins School of Theology, signs that the presence of God is ready and waiting to bless us with hope that overcomes our fears and with peace that overcomes our anxieties. The first event happened when I attended a summer symposium in downtown Dallas. It seems that a group of academicians from the country of Jordan had come to town, and I was invited to a luncheon discussion with them. When I was introduced as someone from Southern Methodist University, they immediately wanted to know how the Methodists viewed the Muslims on campus. They wanted to know also if I would, that afternoon, give them a tour, introduce them to some faculty, and arrange for them to meet some students. Now, in case you didn't hear me say this, it was in the middle of the summer. The chances of meeting students were minimal. The chances of meeting faculty were nearly non-existent. But I placed a phone call to the office of the university chaplain and asked for him by name in the hope that he would help me with this tour and these conversations. The person who took my call sounded like a young woman. She said kindly that the chaplain was not available. I said, "That's fine. May I speak with the associate chaplain?" The young woman replied, "I'm sorry, but she is not available either." Now I was getting anxious about finding any way at all to arrange a tour and to arrange some meetings with students and faculty for these visitors from the Middle East. So I decided to explain the reason for my call. I said into the phone, "My name is Bill Lawrence, and I'm the dean of Perkins School of Theology." That's as far as I got. The young woman interrupted me and said, "Oh, hello, Dr. Lawrence. I was actually supposed to call you. Someone told me that you were the dean. Your son and I attended the same Methodist prep school in Pennsylvania. I am now a student at SMU, and by the way, I'm the president of the Muslim Students Association. That was just one of the many days in my life when I realized if you're going to get into the kind of business that I'm in, ministry and theological education, the first prerequisite is you have to believe in God. Who else could combine two Methodist educational institutions in order to arrange a meeting of Muslims and Christians on a day when nobody else was on campus? The second event happened when my wife and I had the privilege of meeting our Person of Faith recipient for 2015. Dr. Hind Jarrah immediately impressed me as a person of profound faith, sincere spiritual serenity, and great courage. In the past dozen years, she has become a good friend. She has been a guest in our home. She has participated in numerous discussions here at Perkins School of Theology. She has sat on a pastoral care panel at Presbyterian Hospital with Rabbi David Stern and me. She has welcomed me with joy at an interfaith gathering to proclaim that our multiple religions have a unifying force given to us through the power of the one God. As I said, to find our way through the complications and troubles of life, one has to believe in God. Hind Jarrah has, on more than one occasion, reminded people that we should believe in God. I know she does. Dr. Jarrah is a Palestinian by ethnic heritage, a Lebanese by birth, a pharmacist and pharmacologist by education, a Texan by choice, and the founder of organizations that are dedicated to respect for cultural diversity and that are engaged in empowering women, Muslim women in particular, all women in general. She is a person of exceptional grace, enormous generosity, quiet determination, careful insight, and deep peace. She is, as someone else has written of her, an example of what it means to live your faith daily by extending your time and knowledge towards the good in society. Please join me in welcoming to the lectern the recipient of the 2015 Person of Faith Award from Perkins School of Theology, Dr. Hind Jarrah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the gracious, beneficent. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On you be peace and God's mercy and God's blessings. I am overwhelmed. Dean Lawrence, thank you so much for this very generous and very gracious and welcoming statement. I want to apologize to all of you for walking in a little bit late. Please forgive me. And I want to apologize to you for my phone, which I didn't turn off when I had started. Kay, what an honor to be with you. Thank you and congratulations on a very well-deserved award. Dean Lawrence, words cannot say how I feel. President Turner, Bishop McKee, and honored members of Perkins, thank you for the great institution that is Perkins and that is Southern Methodist University. Our family ties to SMU go back a long time to 1996, when our daughter Huda joined the School of Engineering. By the way, Huda did not apply to any other university. And when she told me that, my heart almost gone. I said, what would have happened if they didn't accept you? She said, don't worry. From the very beginning, we discovered the openness and support that you provided your students. And we discovered your willingness to encourage them to give back to their community and build bridges of understanding. Huda joined the Muslim Student Association, and I remember her always raving about how encouraging the chaplain's office was to their activities and their efforts. Chaplain Finian was at her time. In her last year of 2000, Perkins' legendary Professor McIlvaney chose her and another student for an award named after him. I really was surprised. Huda was an engineering student. I was surprised that somebody affiliated with the Perkins School of Theology would decide to choose a Muslim young lady for his award. I am thankful today because I'm joined here with my immediate family, with my husband, Dr. Jarrah, and I want to tell him, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be here. And to my dear daughters, Salam, Huda, and Noor, thank you for being there for me, not just as daughters, but as friends and supporters throughout the years. And welcome our son-in-law, Sharif. My daughter got married last week in the snow. I am especially thankful that my dearest brothers, Dr. Maysara Saadi, Muhannad Saadi, Amran Saadi, and my niece, Mariam and Samir, and our daughter-in-law, Kinza, are here with us. This is such a blessing. I wasn't expecting that my whole family will be here. I want to tell you I'm grateful to you for all the support you gave me. Thank you to Texas Muslim Women Foundation, board, and members who are here. It's an honor to work with all of you to achieve the mission of empowering, promoting, supporting women and their families through education, outreach, philanthropy, and social services. This is definitely a comprehensive and inclusive mission that touches on all aspects of our lives. It touches on the intellectual, on the spiritual, and on the social elements, and strives earnestly to strengthen all of them. This is done step by step, gradually, deliberately, and systematically through a combination of well-thought-out, well-researched, and then well-implemented programs. Texas Muslim Women Foundation Peace in the Home programs provide education through lectures and presentations and through the Islamic Art Revival Series, provide interfaith and outreach programs, building bridges of understanding and friendship with all faith and all communities, provide youth programs engaging the youth in civic services and leadership training and social services, including domestic violence services, both indirect, raising awareness and education, as well as direct services to victims of domestic violence, provided through 24-hour shelter, through long-term transitional housing, and through an outreach office that provides counseling, case management, legal representation, and financial support, all free services. These programs collectively engage and mobilize our women, our men, our youth, and our brothers and sisters from all faith and from all walks of life. As to the Person of Faith Award, I have accepted it for one reason: to emphasize the role that our interfaith brothers and sisters have played in our lives as Muslim community since September 11. And I accepted it on their behalf. And I accepted it as a symbol of appreciation to Perkins School of Theology and to a Southern Methodist University for their inclusiveness of all people and all faith, and for being a true manifestation of the role of faith on individuals and on institutions. The whole story started here at Perkins School of Theology in the aftermath of September 11, when a group of devoted Christian ladies called for the formation of a prayer group of women to pray for the wellness and understanding and healing of our society and our nation. The DFW Interfaith Dialogue Group started. Dr. Isabel De Campo made sure that it continued and grew and was strengthened. She, Nelda Reed, Ann Johnson, Diane Holbert, Martha Gilmore, Gail Atwater, Gail Arbiter, Joyce Hall, and many others opened their hearts, their homes, their churches, their synagogues to us through the years, and invited their friends and their communities to meet us face to face and hear from us directly, rather than about us. They all were persons of faith. They all believed that we all are created by our Creator and made into nations and tribes intentionally so that we can know one another. Ladies and gentlemen, every statement I'm going to read for you is a verse from the Quran, or the meaning of a verse from the Quran. This first one is chapter 49, the dwellings, verse number 13. They all knew that we have to be fair in our interactions with other people and not jump to conclusions or judgments before we are certain. This is chapter 5, Al-Ma'idah, the table, verse 8. They all knew that it is much better to respond to bad deeds with good deeds and with kindness, because that turns a devoted enemy into a loyal friend. This is chapter 41. The meaning of the chapter is fussilat, which means explained in detail. Verse 34. They all knew that they needed to make sure and certain of what they are being told before they pass judgments, and maybe unwittingly cause injustice to others. This is chapter 49, the dwellings, verse 6. They all knew that the faith is proven through one's actions, not appearances, and that we all will stand one day before our Creator, and He will be the ultimate judge. This is chapter 9, the repentance, verse 105. Unfortunately, even though September 11, 2001 seems a long time ago, we still are dealing with wars and with suspicions and with phobias and alienation of our communities, one from the other. Yet our brothers and sisters here at Perkins, at SMU, within the Methodist Church, are still standing in solidarity for justice, for fairness, for condemning of hate and bigotry and phobias against any human being and any community. We saw this on January 25th at North Haven United Methodist Church, when 420 people stood together in solidarity, making a united statement against fear-mongering and hate. As people of faith, we are still showing in our actions that we will prevent oppression by supporting both the oppressor and the oppressed. You might be surprised at my statement. This is a saying of our prophet. Support your brother whether he is oppressed or whether he is the oppressor. They asked him, we know how to support him if he is the oppressed, but how do we support him if he is the oppressor? He told them, you prevent him from levying his oppression on other people. We, the Muslim community, definitely are condemning the heinous and murderous actions of those who claim to be Muslims. And we are alerting all our community to curb and stop radicalization within our members. Our religious leaders are taking active role in this. Finally, I would like to end that our story here at Perkins and at Texas Muslim Women's Foundation and at the interfaith dialogue taking place throughout the Metroplex is a wonderful role model for other communities, even for nations, to address the difficulties and problems they face. We need to believe that sincere, dedicated, conscious people of faith can together come and make a difference, and can and do spread healing and friendship among diverse people and diverse communities, and that, God willing, this model should be replicated throughout the world. Before I say my last two sentences, I want to salute the gracious ladies that I know that stood with us throughout the years that I did not mention before. Becky Sykes, God bless you. Dallas Women Foundation was our role model to establish the Texas Muslim Women Foundation. And as you see, she's here. She has always been there for us, wherever we needed her. God bless. Thank you, Gloria, Sue, Ruth, and Sandra, our faith club, interfaith dialogue that has been going since 2007 with Muslim, Jewish, and Christian ladies, and the friendship that has been built throughout the years. My last question to you is, dare we as people of faith hope? I know that for sure all of us as people of faith can at least try. Thank you for this tremendous honor.
Will you remain standing for the benediction? Receive now this blessing. Go now in peace to serve God and your neighbor in all that you do. Go now as agents of change, no longer strangers or sojourners, but beloved children of the living God. Go now with courage to speak the truth in love. Go now as bridge builders and witness to the God who has called you and who will sustain you. Go now in peace. Amen.
Amen.